want to keep this extremely collaborative, ask a lot of questions. As you know, we're all part of Tech Systems. So my name is Michael Butts. I'm a regional director for our information security practice. I also help support network and infrastructure. Tech Systems is divisionally aligned as an organization. So we focus in really 4 areas or lines of business: applications, network infrastructure and security, communications, and then end user support. Yeah, we're happy to be here today. Spend some time with you. This is part of our team.
Hi, everyone. My name is AJ Candela. I help support our network infrastructure services, which, as Mike mentioned, includes security as well here locally from an account management perspective. So I work with organizations on a local level to help them identify resource needs and work to identify the right resource for them as well. And this is my counterpart, Megan.
Hi, I'm Megan Wells. I am a recruiter with Tech Systems, and I focus primarily in the information security space. I've recruited it both nationally and locally. Right now, I'm focusing more on the Columbus market specifically. I've been doing that the last probably 5 years or so, just security specifically. So I'm excited to talk to you guys. Get your thoughts.
So guys, the purpose of the conversation today is really to add as much value to everybody in the room as possible. As a company, we focus in 3 core areas of information security: IAM, Identity and Access Management; DVM, Threat and Vulnerability Management; and GRC, Governance, Risk, and Compliance. So any of those 3 topics, please, let's engage on them as much as you want. If you have specific questions, we're happy to talk through them. But also, importantly, or as equally as important, is talking about the trajectory, or the predicts, if you will, predictions of what the information security industry is going to do over the next 5 to 10 years. We work a lot with Gartner and Forrester, so we spend a lot of time going through data analytics from a national perspective. Can everybody hear me? Okay? All right.
That's mostly for the recording.
Cool. I'm not even going to. Perfect. So we spend a tremendous amount of time with analytics, both from a national perspective and then also locally too. So we have some things prepared for you today about the Columbus market specifically. So if you want to talk and learn more about this market, please feel free. We're going to get into some data points, but we want to have a good, again, collaborative conversation. If you want to talk more from a technical perspective, specifically in those 3 areas that I mentioned respectively, please feel free to engage on questions there. Then also, if you guys are looking to progress into more of an information security field, we also have some information or some advice as well on what you can do and tactics you can actually take to help position yourself for success inside of this fast-growing, obviously, industry. So I wanted to first pool the audience, just so we have so much, we can kind of bucket and position, at least have some directional understanding of where we're going to take the conversation. How many of you right now are curious in learning as much as you can about how to progress inside of the information security space specifically? Okay, great. How many of you are interested in understanding the local market here in Columbus better, both from services perspective and from an opportunity perspective? Okay, a little bit more. Okay, perfect. So about half, a little bit more than 6%. And then how many of you are really interested in more of the technical aspect, understanding IAM, TVM, GRC, and some of the regulatory reform around it, and some of the trends that we're seeing, both from a customer buying, but also from an industry forecasting perspective? Okay, about 20%. All right, perfect. Well, let's do this. Let's start off, keep everyone's time, very conscious of time, I guess. Let's start off first and talk about just the industry in general, and share some information with you guys, and then kind of stop and have some conversation around it. So just some interesting facts to throw out here, and these are all facts that are, to date, very relevant. There's more than 209,000 cyber security jobs that are currently unfilled in the U.S. right now. We know that there's about 70,000 actually qualified IT professionals. And when I say qualified, that's certified quality IT professionals with years of experience. So there's a huge gap. About 70% of these positions are going to go unfilled, or filled with less experienced talent. This is some visuals that we have to share. We're not going to go through a PowerPoint with you. We have how many slides?
We have 44.
We're not going to go through them all of you guys. PowerPoint presentations are just, they're a little bit, they're not as interactive, a little boring sometimes. So there's going to be visuals up here as we talk. If you guys have questions about the visuals too, just feel free to chime in. So, one thing is everybody in this room, it's exciting. We are in one of the fastest growing industries right now that exists. It's definitely the fastest growing industry per Gartner and Forrester within IT. That being said, it's also one of the better paying industries. So, another interesting stat is that cybersecurity jobs on average offer a premium of about $12,000 more than any other IT position that exists today. Now, there's some other analytics that are out here as well to talk about, specifically how much specific jobs are being paid inside of IT. The top paying cybersecurity position right now is a software engineer, and the salary is about $233,333. That's the average salary of an information security software engineer. And again, that's per Gartner and some information that we pulled from DICE as well, and some of the other job posting companies that we partner with. So as it stops right, I kind of want to pause right there. As obviously, we all know that we're in the right room, we're in the right spot from an industry perspective. Directionally, it's good for ourselves and our family. It's only increasing and it offers a lucrative career path. Is there any questions out there specifically about the opportunity, specifically around the job title or about the industry? Anything along those lines? Feel free to kind of start some dialogue around it. Tell you what we know.
Okay.
Say your name. And if you're working somewhere, please state kind of where you're at right now.
Felina Farley with the Ohio Green Party,
Yeah.
and I'm the IT person of the state. But anyway, we have a dilemma with IT and politics, specifically, as we know with the keynote. What we're trying to figure out is when are we going to stop being hired for government positions and be elected?
So basically, you're stating that. Is this for IT specifically?
Yes.
So being elected into an IT role?
Just like county engineers, coroners, clerks, a specific role instead of saying advisors or being staff specifically. When are we, or what are we measuring to see if that needs to be a requirement now? Because we need that protection from the public.
That's a very, very interesting point. So first and foremost, I don't have an answer at all. But, what I can tell you is that the amount of spend that we see that comes from the government segment, if you will, is tremendous. And a lot of it is leveraging, third party or what I call MSSPs, managed security service providers. So it's a tricky question how to approach it because a lot of it's service-based right now or integrator-based.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what we're trying to figure out too, because we're looking at the history of how all the other professional, specific titles came into being, and it's
like
not
a CISO
really
or something. Is that what you're saying? Like of a public sector or commercial sector?
Mm-hmm.
Call it financial services. Okay.
Right, because it could be under infrastructure with the county engineers. It could also be under public utility.
Mm-hmm.
And a commissioner of that.
Well, let's go off that real quick. Let's take an offshoot here. So, guys, one thing that we're seeing a lot of, and we're going to talk about the structure of an information security department inside of an enterprise organization. You have the CIO. And the CIO is really taking charge, in some cases, of all aspects of information security. But over the past 5 years, personally what I've seen is that the CIO usually has maybe an SVP or someone of senior leadership inside of information security that reports up to them, and they're in charge of more technical aspects of information security, identity and access management, maybe threat and vulnerability. But then what we're also seeing is that there's a CISO role, and the Chief Information Security Officer doesn't necessarily report to the CIO. They're a peer of the CIO. and they take all of the risk and compliance or regulatory reform line of business or work. So that's government risk and compliance, the GRC piece. So with that being said, companies and how they're approaching information security is changing, especially at the enterprise level. Now at the, what I'm going to call the vertical level, government, I'm sure it's going to be changing as well. How, I don't have insight into that actually. But to your point though, companies are structuring their information security approach a lot differently. And information security, and the main component about everything, mentioning that, is gaining power and influence. So you're seeing a chief information security officer be a peer to a CIO. You're seeing IT information security be segmented from governance, risk, and compliance, if that makes sense. With all that being said, we're seeing a huge demand, and we confirmed this, validated this with Gartner, that boards are being, I will say pressured, to put more information security expertise onto their board. That's key, especially for publicly held companies. So, tremendous opportunity, a lot of pivoting within inside of the structure of the organizations, which is kind of some of your point, which I like where you were going with that. But it's important for us to know right now, as we stand here, I do see a lot of the enterprise companies having an IT concentration with information security and approach, and then a governance, risk, and compliance concentration. And usually that's held by a CIO and a CISO, respectively. Any questions about that or any comments?
Have you seen any early indicators of success or failure with that approach?
So I'm seeing some success, a lot of success. As it stands right now, specifically in the financial services industry, I'm not going to name specific companies, but the success is nice because financial services, and this could be said for healthcare as well, are getting pounded with regulatory reform. And it's just so much coming at them, and they're so concerned, not just about making money as a company, but also saving money. So really, having someone dedicated to that governance, risk, and compliance, and making sure a company's passing audits, and that there's no goodwill being lost, it's critical. Another stat that's out there right now that we've confirmed, and again, this is just forecasting, Gartner Forrester says they guarantee that 3 CEOs will be let go in 2016 based upon a cyber breach. 3. We already had CEOs let go. Obviously, we all know about Target. We know what happened at Sony. And there was a plethora of other big ones, Anthem, that took place in 2015. So to your point, to your question, yes, it's working because it's helping save the overall leadership structure, and it's putting accountability, spreading it across the right people. Well, could you say, sorry, what was your name? Jason, thanks, Jason.
Patrick Irwin with Cisco. Question on that approach. Do you see a merging between the security folks and legal folks in that direction? Do you see a need for those directors and the CISO line to have a strong legal background?
Yes. Great question, yes. Yeah, same with audit, along with the legal line. So
companies recognizing that and looking for folks with that strength and that background.
I see companies keeping it as still separate skill sets, but part of the same line of business. Yep. Sorry, what's your name?
Sasan Atari.
Sasan.
Can you give a percentage to the companies that you see following the structure and as opposed to those who are not?
I can't speak to it specifically. I can tell you in my reach or my my circle of influence, I see 70%, but that's irrelevant to all of you because it doesn't give you a general snapshot. I will tell you that I work heavily with inside the financial services and healthcare industries. I'm starting to work a lot more with government. I was just in Nova in DC last week. But I am seeing it as a very, very, very loud trend. But it's not like 1 or 2 years old. Like this has been happening, I would say, since 2010, 11. this has slowly been happening. I just see it's really maturing right now.
Like, earlier you had mentioned there's like 209,000 open vacancies.
Yep.
Right? Right. Now, are there any unexpected areas of the country outside of like, Silicon Valley, DC? Is it normal concentrations, or do you see it distributed more evenly across the country?
Awesome question. So I do see it distributed more consistently across the country. Now you're going to have influxes in certain areas and locations, but I mean, Chicago is completely depleted right now. There's a lot of banks there. Ohio, specifically, we're going to get into some stats here. It's very surprising. The unemployment rate is negative for information security right here in Columbus. I mean, it's exciting. Now, there's different variations of that, but it is a very, very, very big problem for a lot of companies, and they're not immune to it based on geography. It's just, is the problem bigger in certain areas or not than it is? Does that help answer your question, Mike? You want us to try to paint a little bit more there? Should we go into some? Maybe we'll do one more question and we'll get into this. But let's kind of ear tag that because that's a really good point. I want to go deeper on that.
Given that there's such a huge depletion of IT security, you see that companies are more accepting then of non-traditional workers, like remote workers,
I'm going to restate it and then tell me where I'm off. So there are people compromising on the talent that they're bringing in.
compromising or just saying, all right, we're willing to hire somebody who's full-time remote worker.
Oh, okay. Yes, 100%. I was on a call this morning before I got here, actually, with the Columbus organization that's open to remote. 110%. You have to be able to pivot now towards the industry because it's such a high demand space. So I'll kind of put some more things in the light there. Let's see here. Okay, so the need for cyber workers. Basically, it's the fastest growing area and going to be considered the fastest growing area for all of the U.S. IT workforce over the next 7 years. It's considered one of the 100 best jobs inside of all jobs in the U.S. The professional, the overall profession is growing at a rate of 36.5% year over year until 2022. Okay, so this leads us to another topic and another big problem that we all have is that the supply and demand ratios are off, and a lot of this falls on higher ed. Like, what are we doing now to get people prepared to make an impact into this space? All right. Higher ed, I knew this was good. Okay, so and we'll talk about a couple of things.
So I'm going to take issue with that.
Yep.
Not because there isn't, most higher education schools are offering computer science or computer science related classes all over the place, whether or not they're offering security.
Yep.
Number one. Number two, whenever I poll an audience about what is looked for in a security recruit, they're looking for experience over a piece of paper any day of the week. So, yeah, higher ed absolutely should we be thinking about doing security because they've got the same problem we have, and that is the tools and systems and issues that we face today, we're not going to face 5 years from now. So what's the degree? What's the value of a 4-year degree that's irrelevant 6 years from now? So I reject that they should fall onto the shoulders of higher ed in the sense of having security degrees and people going through the security program. Could it help? Absolutely.
Right.
Should we be fielding from non-traditional areas? So forget remote workers for a second. Should we be pulling straight out of high school? Should we be
there
pulling...
you go. So that's going to be a point I'm going to hit on.
And so forth, right? So,
Yep.
sorry.
No.
You did
So,
the point.
Kate,
It's not just higher ed.
No, it is, but I think we can be doing a lot more with higher ed. Can be doing a lot more. So I'm on the board of Southern Illinois University for their STEM school. Okay, and I've been with them for 10 years now. The journey we've gone through is unbelievable. We have very proudly, our team now, it's more of a MAC, it's a national group, but we won our security hack contest. Their mascot is a Saluki, it's a dog, so they're the security dogs. But the transformation that they've made at their STEM college and their approach to information security has been exponential over the past 10 years. And what they're seeing is not so much, so they are seeing more successful placements of their students, but they're also seeing the interest level increase. And it's more of a branding tactic. And that's why, to your point, you said high school as well, I do think from K to 12, we need to start incorporating information security. Right now, most high schools and most junior highs, they have computer classes, and they're very basic. But in none of those computer classes, at least not a lot of them yet, there's not an information security component. But it's such a big, critical opportunity for us to capitalize on. And this is, again, just my opinion. There's some data that Gardner tends to agree as well, but something I'm very passionate about. I love this topic. So I think it starts earlier in college. And I'm going to put higher ed, not just in the universities, but I'm going to for the colleges. I'm going to also put it onto K through 12. Okay, so there's that first opportunity. The second opportunity, though, going back to your point, is I do think there's things that higher ed can be doing to help build the momentum and build the excitement for people to get involved with information security at a younger age or as a degree. And I do think that there's an opportunity for them to create more extracurricular groups that are, it's called Capture the Flag. I'm sure you guys have all heard of it. These are awesome, awesome groups. Now, don't get me wrong, to your point too, which I agree with, we are seeing that our clients, our customers, and even us internally, we are valuing experience more so than degrees. It is. But some of the security dogs that I've had the privilege of spending time with who come in, and although they're not in a suit and tie, and they're 20 years old, and they come in with a black hood, and they act the whole part, and they're so proud of what they've done last year, and they start telling me about their capture the flag tactics. Guys, there's some people with experience that aren't talking the way that they're talking. And we've hired some of them. And I have been working on some of our projects right now, and they're blowing it out of the water. So I think that there's some things we can do directionally to position our students with inside of higher education that better build their success or opportunity with inside of this field, which will benefit all of us in this room, actually. So I hope that answers the question. Cool, thanks. But great point, thanks for bringing that up.
I'm a big fan of higher ed. I got my CS degree 20 years ago. I've got 20 years experience.
Awesome.
The theoretical underpinnings that I got from my degree have been invaluable in my career.
Where did you go, just out of curiosity?
Binghamton University.
Okay. I oversee our Northeast region too, so that's Binghamton?
Binghamton.
Yep, okay, cool.
At the same time, though, there's no replacing experience whatsoever.
Amen. I agree with that. But it's what we need. I guess the way to boil it down, I just kind of thought of this. It's a barrier of entry. We need an easier,
which brings me to my next point.
Yep.
Without the piece of paper, you're going to have a class ceiling. So I don't know that for immediate job success, the degree is as important, but 15 years down the field, you're going to get passed up for promotions if you don't have it.
That's right. And it also is helping us also leverage additional certification down the road once you successfully surpass the barrier of entry and you're now in your career. You know, the CISSP and everything that comes before that, it's intensive. You know, so I think that helps as a building block. So
the other thing I would say, and being an OSU guy, I live this every day. Higher ed moves slowly. Oh my God. We've got this problem now. We're going to have this problem for the next 8 years. It will take them 20 years to solve this problem. And it's just the way curriculum works. It's the way teachers and assessors think about messing with their class structure. It's all of that stuff. So I'm not saying that higher ed doesn't have a role to play, but we have a responsibility to deal with the fact that higher ed isn't there while higher ed comes to the table, and it's going to take 5 to 10 years for higher ed to come to the table the way we need it.
I think along those lines, when people talk about certifications for higher ed, you want a doctor working on you who's only been to med school? No. You want a doctor who's only got clinical experience? No. I want a doctor who's got both. And to your point, academia
infrastructure, academia is not nimble enough to address these changes. So what's ultimately going to happen is the old model of academia is going to fall away and it's going to get replaced with something else, much to the chagrin of intended professors.
Correct.
And they know it.
Yeah.
And they're clinging out of their power as hard as they can.
That's why it's a 5 to 10 year path.
You know, as we're on the topic of, in 1 second, as we're on the topic of higher ed, to just take another quick offshoots and we can exhaust that. 2 other things with higher ed. One, we are seeing some interesting trends as it relates to where STEM or where IT sits inside of the university itself. You know, is it in a STEM college or engineering? Is it in the business school? You know, there's a lot of talk there, and there's some shift and there's some pivoting there. Secondly, now stepping out of the higher ed internal, looking at it from an external perspective, it's actually a huge area of spend for information technology services. Because what you have is you have higher education, you have a university, and then you just, like any organization, have lines of business, okay? And you have different colleges, College of Business, College of Agriculture, et cetera, yada, yada. And you have typically a provost or someone who's in charge of that spend or that college. And there's a lot of gaps there. A lot of gaps that we're finding inside of InfoSec. Because it just hasn't been as top of a priority and they're not regulated yet. And don't get me wrong, you know, you guys know University of Illinois was hacked 3 years ago in their first Champaign-Urbana. And we all know who that was. So the nation state is still getting a lot of information from our universities. So it's a big area of opportunity. So FYI. Yes.
Talk to me about us. Talk to us about offshore. Daniel Fink wrote a fascinating book called The Golden Line, where he made a really interesting point that rote tasks like simple coding, that can be offshored in a heartbeat. But ingenuity is coming primarily out of the United States, Israel, the former Soviet Republic. Where do you see, with the great dearth of candidates here in the U.S., where do you see the role of offshoring? Where do you see?
Good question, Mike. So, guys, to Mike's question.
Daniel.
Oh, what's your first name?
I'm Daniel.
Oh, Daniel. Sorry. Then you're Mike. Okay. So, sorry, Daniel.
Okay. I never called out my name.
Great question. Okay. Yes. And who do you work with?
I work with Bennett Abelson.
Okay.
It's a consulting firm primarily out of Cleveland, but we've got a presence here in Columbus.
Cool. All right. So it all falls back to Daniel's question: plan, build, run. Right. We are seeing the same trend with inside of information security as we've seen with inside of network infrastructure, as basically what we've seen with inside of applications. The planning and the building stages are always going to be the most critical. And they're the ones that typically take the most senior level of resources and spend. Then when you get to the run stage or operations or the commoditized, repeatable processes, there is a tremendous opportunity for cost savings to outsource that business or pieces of it. So if you can find the right vendor partner, you can find the right solution, and it meets regulatory reform, I see that business continuing to go. Now, I'm not talking about monitoring, because monitoring is a huge critical component, and it's not just a repeatable process, because monitoring is going to be one of the bigger trends that Gartner Forrester is going to engulf a lot of spend over the next 5 years. So monitoring is going to kind of change from a mindset perspective of not a repeatable process or a run state activity, but more of an engineering activity that has more accountability. Does that help answer your question? Cool. Okay. Good. I'm doing all the talking. You guys have to answers. I feel bad. And yes.
Andrew with BMW. Quick question. So, with the supply and demand problem that we have, what percentage of your clients that you're trying to fill recs for are openly rejecting young qualified people without degrees? They're openly saying, no degree, sorry, that person isn't.
Please. That's a great question.
How many are also rejecting based off of not having certification?
Great question. How many are rejecting based upon years of experience too? Okay, we'll answer that.
Or how many are rejecting because a person just remembers every single line of code since they were sent?
It's a great problem to have. And how many people exactly can do that? So, very good question, guys, and a lot, unfortunately. Now, there's been a shift, though, and there's been compromises because they've had to make the compromises. But the reason why they're making compromises is typically because something's taking place. very scary stat, of all breaches that take place, 99.99% of them have been already known about the vulnerability for over 12 months. 1 year. And to Andrew's point, there's opportunity for them to bring people on, but in some cases we're making it harder than it needs to be. Or in other cases, we're not fully vetting the resources the way we can vet or utilize the resources to help impact and secure vulnerabilities that have been existing inside of the environment for over 6, 12, 18 months. And what that's leading to is that stat. Which that stat, everyone is, at least when I heard that stat, I was like, you got to be kidding. But it's right. The backyard is what's getting deprived, and we're not building a resource plan or a sourcing and qualification strategy to bring resources on to impact those issues. So one last thing there, and then we'll open this up. This is a great topic. What we're seeing is a tremendous opportunity for also training and professional development, which we can talk to as well. All right, couple questions. All right, you haven't asked one yet.
Yeah, Tim Wright, American Electric Power. So
Okay.
I think one thing that I'd like to bring up,
Yeah.
I keep hearing this whole thing about academia kind of being the driving force. But let's all go back and remember, academia was not up at those conferences in DEF CON
That's right.
talking about
Totally.
the security vulnerabilities of the internet, or going before Congress and testifying in the early 90s, talking about how the internet was broken. Those were guys that were just coming out of high school and identifying these vulnerabilities themselves and finding these problems. H.D. Moore, Mitnick, those guys were out there finding this, talking about it, sometimes going to jail because of it. And I think now we keep looking at academia as being the saving grace for us, and I still think the kid that's sitting in his basement teaching himself how to write C code or reverse engineer applications or hardware and then going and talking about it, that's where our resources are. So I think when people talk about their hiring for degrees or looking for those things, I look for passion.
That's right.
What is this person doing in their off time?
That's right.
Okay, I'm sitting in my basement ripping apart code, and I'm figuring out how to write this, Minecraft server, plug-in, and doing all these extra things. And I think the community as a whole can encourage that and build those things younger. But then they're coming out of school and they've already got those skill sets we're looking for and that passion that you can then build upon. So I think if you're just looking for a degree, and I'm not opposed to a degree, I tell my daughter, go to school and get an education.
Right.
But I taught myself. I have no degree. But, I go speak at universities for master degrees. And I start talking reverse engineering and people are like, what?
Yeah.
So, and I talk about coding and ask people, how many people in this room write code? Half the kids in that room or more don't raise their hand, and these are kids that are in academia, working on their master's degrees, and they're not writing code, and they're in their master's program for information assurance. So, yes, these academic groups these colleges are teaching, but they're teaching the wrong thing. And so, I'm very passionate about that, too. I don't think we need to lead on academia. I think we need to keep inspiring these kids to go forward.
Actually, could I follow up with that?
Absolutely. It's one thing that kind of boils some of that down, and Tim, that's a really good point. It's the evolution of how we're hiring in information security.
Alex, electrical engineering student. And so right now what I'm seeing is that there's a lot of stuff like Aaron Schwartz, et cetera, that have caused lawmakers to implement things like the CFAA, laws against reverse engineering, which is really hampering the whole community behind kids actually being able to reverse engineer stuff like you're saying. So I'm seeing that as a barrier to entry for those kids right now. They don't have I want to say a combination of mentors available to provide that education, but also saying, hey, we know you're researching this stuff, but it's also a blatant violation of the terms of use of the license provided with some projects. So I don't know where the line between saying, hey, we want you to start hacking, between, hey, this is illegal, don't do that.
Well, wouldn't it be an attraction for a person in your position who sees that hindrance to say, hey, turn your attention towards our own code. You want to reverse engineer stuff? You want to break it? Show us how to do it on our own stuff.
But also,
is that an attraction?
But some companies do have like a leeway where we can say, hey, we report this to you, but we're afraid of like being came after like legally from that standpoint.
So what I'm thinking of is as a potential employer or a hiring manager, how do I attract a person who is conscious enough to know that there are laws against doing things like that, but then saying, I appreciate that skill set, come work for us and do that to our stuff. There is no legal barrier there.
Yeah, and that's what the CCF you were mentioning earlier. Like I've actually participated in a few that have like framework set for stuff that's like completely legal. Like someone set that up and we're assuming that they have gone through the motions of saying, yeah, we're allowed to do this.
This whole conversation is why we don't have enough people in security. There's more to security than hacking. There's way more to security than hacking. We've got threat vulnerability management. We've got people who need to know how to recruit people who need a security background in order to be able to recruit. We need project managers who know what they're doing so we can deliver security projects. Hacking is a very critical, it's the most critical, important part of security, absolutely. But there are so many jobs under the banner of security that aren't hacking, that aren't Minecraft, that aren't capture the flag. And every time we get together as a community and talk about it, we only talk about that. And then we wonder why we're at negative unemployment and we've got 10 years of underemployment looking for it.
So guys, this is phenomenal. And I completely agree with the points that are being said right now. We would be doing you a disjustice if we didn't give you some information that we have. We are the largest provider of IT resources in the country. We also are one of the largest providers as it relates to global services, specifically within information security, staff augmentation, and services. We pooled our consultants and our team to understand how to help retain and attract good information security talent. So we want to share some of that with you guys today. Megan, let's talk through some of that. I want to give you a couple of stats real quick.
Okay.
So one thing, guys, that we're hearing across the board, which everyone pretty much knows, but it's really important to highlight, culture is a big thing. Making companies much more collaborative to attract some of this talent, and building the right culture to bring in people, whether to Tim's point, without a degree, who's been having a passion around code and more on the threat side, but also to your point as well, someone who might be looking for another opportunity or coming more from a functional perspective. It's very critical to build a strong culture. 2, recognition and performance of performance is very important, even from a contractual perspective. And then 3, I know this scares some people, but training and feeling okay training your people. They want you to invest in them. And on the thought right now that's out there, perfect. All right, thanks, Mike. So we got 10 more minutes. So the thought that's out there right now is that once you train your information security workforce, they're going to leave to go make more money somewhere else. Always a threat, don't get me wrong, but the percentages tell us that it's actually the opposite. The more you train and invest into your own people, the longer the retention is, and the longer they stay with you.
This is the question that's just burning in my soul for weeks.
Yes! All right.
Only companies that have their heads out of their butts well enough to see that are in Silicon Valley. What do we do here in Ohio to find those places?
To find those places to work?
The places that have the culture, that educate their train their people, that have the good environment.
All right, there's an easy answer to that.
Yeah.
Don't say we'll do Silicon Valley.
No, I was going to say
It's
that.
actually really easy. It's a very simple story. If we train our people and we leave, that's a risk. The counter quote that is if we don't train them and they stay.
Right, but that's a part of the larger question. The larger question is you're talking about how do you retain your talent. You've got to have a progressive environment. You have to have a flexible pay. Not here in Central Ohio.
Yeah, never say never.
So
in the back. You're right. Well, I don't know. I mean, this is a great. I'm gonna let you guys go on this because
I think you can only influence what you can at your level and below. Yes, you have maybe one level of management above you. It's your job to convince them. You have to take that responsibility yourself. Say, hey, I will forego 4 projects so I can send 5 people to training next year. So I would like to do that. I approach my manager that way in setting up my next year's budget. If I can't get training for my folks, what kind of a manager am I? I have to be willing to sacrifice even some of my own training sometimes to send the right people to the right training.
One of the underemployment stats, if you're working with someone who's not training you, leave and tell them you're leaving because they're not training.
Megan, you got some good stats from some of the actual consultants that are working for Tech Systems right now in Columbus.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would just say I polled some of the folks who work for Tech Systems in the security space, and they're reiterating all the things that you guys are all saying, right? So they want to be trained. They want to advance themselves. I think to someone else's point earlier, you know, what are we doing with these degrees that are going to be out of date by the time they get in the workforce, right? So one thing that they absolutely want, and I'd be interested to see what you think as a student and those sort of things, they want that training. That is, they want to get their foot in the door in security specifically. They want to be trained, and they want to kind of keep growing in that career path, whether that's help with certifications, whether that's education dollars towards a degree maybe, whether that's experience, mentorship, whatever it may be. I get asked constantly from people right out of school in particular, how do I get my foot in the door? How do I get some of that experience? Because what we're facing in terms of the market is companies are either having to pay top dollar to get a very experienced professional, right? Or, which can be difficult, they may not be able to find that person locally, they may have to go elsewhere, they may have to hire someone to bring that person in. Or they make concessions, which I think someone else was talking about, remote work and different things like that. They make concessions to bring in people who maybe aren't as experienced that they're going to have to invest a little bit more in on the front end. So whether that's, like I said, training, you know, I would say as someone that's recruited in this space, you know, technical professionals, they want all of that flexibility, right? They want the ability to work remotely if they can. And companies are having to do those types of things, make those concessions to be competitive. I mean, that's just the nature of the industry. You know, some companies are for that, some don't like it, you know, it kind of depends, but that goes back to having a strong culture. That was another thing that technical professionals told me, hey, this is on my top priority list outside of training and progressing. It's having a good culture, having a place I want to work, feeling valued, feeling like I'm getting recognized for my work. Those are all key things to retaining the talent.
And a couple things to note here too. Really good points, Megan. Really glad you brought those up because culture and how you build culture spreads like wildfire. Just FYI, guys. Everybody knows what the culture status is within certain organizations in each respective market. Something else to mention that Daniel brought up. Hey, Silicon Valley. Okay, that's where it's all at. That's where all this great opportunity is coming from. It's actually changing, and there's some predicts as well that are out there that says there's a bubble that exists within inside of information security today, and that bubble is around a lot of the VC and angel investment that these companies have received, and it's been exacerbated over the past 5 years. So an opportunity is to really create a strong stability and good culture. And you can be able to retain and attract some of this talent from outside the market as well. If you want to build that here in your organizations in Columbus, Ohio, you have a chance to do so. But there's an opportunity now, I think, to have a lot of access to talent that wasn't available before, in my opinion. And we're certainly seeing that today. He hasn't asked a question yet.
Matthew, another opportunity is within your own organization, in other IT disciplines. Selectively training those people if they have interest to move on within your own company.
Yeah, cross train.
You know they're more of a known quantity versus somebody said, we just get a resume and just you don't have any certifications, you don't know much about the person in one or trying to decide. But if it's somebody within your company, whether it's in a related profession like networking or something like that, they may have some of the underlying background which you may have to do additional training. That's an easier move.
Totally
and
agree.
actually growing your pool from 720 to something more than 720.
100% agree. And on top of that, too, there's something I want to share with you as a best practice that we do as an organization. It's called an EVP. It stands for the Employee Value Proposition. Every technical professional in information security that we have working on our client sites right now, guys, we build an EVP that's custom to our customer. So we tell our consultant why it's a great place to work, why other people would want this opportunity, what the career trajectory looks like, what the overall reason that they should be excited to join this organization. It helps us with two things. One, we're recruiting a lot of information technology professionals. A lot of them have already worked for us, so we're just redeploying them, but some are out in the open market. We call them passively seeking, and they're either already working somewhere or they have multiple offers, and so we need to attract them to our customers. We're very competitive with that. Secondly, it helps with retention. That EVP we're finding really helps keep our team and our employees engaged, and it helps our customers retain their top talent. So having a specific EVP, I think, as a best practice is just critical.
So Larry Rosen, Nationwide. I want to follow up a little bit on the actively searching portion of your statistic here. That's the question.
Please.
And more of a question for the audience.
Please.
How many people in the room have changed positions within the last 12 months or with their company? And how many people are planning on changing their positions within the next 12 months? How does a company have to further your career potential within a company to retain the talent when we're in such an environment where people are switching positions every 12 months, 16 months because they're getting $20,000 more, $30,000 more to move to their next position?
Invest in training. First and foremost, invest in training. Invest in their future. Show them a career path. Build a culture that aligns to a place they want to work. And celebrate their accomplishments. I mean, if I just had to boil it down, and these are things that we try to preach on a daily basis, and treat consultants, third party, whatever it is, just like FTEs. Treat them all the same. Yeah. Please. It's important, and it helps add to culture. There isn't a FTE, third party, and consulting culture. You know what I'm saying? It will add to your FTE culture if you treat it all the same. So those are some very transparent opportunities, I think, to help create that. But to your point too, guys, there's a huge amount of actively seeking people out there right now. Huge. What's interesting is that there's also a very, very big population of passively seeking people. And I can talk to you about this one topic for literally another hour. I'm not joking. We talk about it all the time. They're probably like, oh boy, here he goes. All right. But at the same time, the passive seeking talent and the active seeking talent is both a huge opportunity for all of us. But it's interesting that passive seeking population, they're fantastic. And we have strategies in what we're doing. We work with them on a daily basis, along with actively seeking, which I consider posted on job boards, you know, LinkedIn, etc. There's a whole other population out there that's really best in class, great talent too.
I came in late, so pretty basic. You already covered this, but
what's your name? And just cool.
Have you found opportunities with strong partnerships for the higher ed with the internships? Because I've answered Tim's question by through the interview process where they didn't have the experience, they had the fundamentals, but they had fire in the belly. And questions like, well, tell me about your home network. Tell me what you're learning right now. And it's not like academic based, but they're like, oh, I'm hacking this from doing that, or this is my network, I flash my router with this, and my FedOS, I'm over here now. Those are great conversations to have. We found a lot of talent through the internship program. Our local universities, you can go to Southern Valley, New York, or Texas, or right here in Columbus. They're passionate. They lack the business acumen and lack the experience, but they've got passion. A lot of the FTEs are kind of been there, done that. So don't overlook that as an opportunity to talk as well.
It's a great incubator. It's awesome. You can really figure out, you get some great talent in that way, and they're going to be loyal too.
Thanks, Coach.
Are there any up-and-coming or new places that you found that big company representatives here could try and influence to support for the next generation of young talent? A great example comes to mind. I coached the first Lego League team with Lego Robotics. I never see education, sales, recruiting companies. I don't see anybody there. And these are the next generation of minds that love to decode things, to write code. That's just one example. Are there things like that we could be endorsing or using our CPE hours if we all need to go teach and lecture in those types of places? How do we get involved and get in front of that next generation?
A lot of it is just getting out in the community and being able to speak actively. Forums like this are fantastic. What we have coming up at the ISSA, what is that, March 29th and 30th here, that's another great opportunity. To your point, I that content to bear. And honestly, guys, I really love this. Like, try to get on boards. Get out there and get involved with different boards that you can be on and have an active voice. Boards are looking to bring in more information security talent across the spectrum. So if it's higher education or whatever you can, I think that's another opportunity too. Does that answer your question? All right.
Oh, I just had a quick question about culture here in Ohio. I've been noticing when it comes to IT, but I'm not sure if it's IT. I think it's just Ohio. I'm from Chicago, so maybe it's just me. But but I've noticed here, and kind of in Cleveland too, we're very, I don't want to say guinea pigs, but we like to beta test a lot here. Have you noticed that trend? Culturally, we like to try new things. I don't care if it's the McPizza. We like to try a lot of just beta tests here a lot.
I've heard that as well, that Ohio is often used to test new restaurant chains and new restaurant foods.
Well, that's interesting.
We are representative of the rest of the country.
Right.
But I haven't seen that spill over into technology.
Well, it has for Verizon. They like to beta test here. So.
Especially in the retail space, for sure.
Right.
Retail IT presence.
Totally.
I mean, coming from a company that resold order management and warehouse management, that innovation is all over the place here.
Really cool. Really cool. Personally, I have not seen that. I work in a lot of different markets. Columbus, I can't speak to it, but it would make sense. It would make a lot of sense. And what I have seen is that the innovation in certain areas is becoming more prevalent. So, like, especially in the Midwest, or what we call Midwest and Mid-Atlantic, they're calling it the Silicon Prairie a little bit. A lot of the investment is coming here. So I think it wouldn't surprise me, especially if you have a very concentrated industry here, like retail. I think healthcare is another big one, obviously, too.
I think you talked about serving on boards, but you also mentioned there's a very thriving information security community in Central Ohio. Multiple different groups are represented. For web applications, there's OWASP. If you're interested in homeland security issues, there's InfraGard. There's the Columbus ISSA, and there's the Central Ohio ISC Square chapters. And if you're interested in physical security stuff, there's actually a LockSport chapter as well, where they sit around and learn how to do lock picking. So, there's a lot of things to get involved in.
I'm really glad you brought those examples up. Like the ISC Square chapters, guys, in my opinion, I'm part of the one in Chicago. Phenomenal. I mean, I've had a lot of good experience. There's also a program that's out. I'm not sure if it's here in Columbus, but it's whatever the city is first. So there's Chicago first, there's Boston first, there's New York first, and this is an overarching information security group started in DC that does all things security, including physical. But a lot of CISOs, a lot of great workshops, and it's a quarterly meeting.
There's a lot of meetup groups out there too.
Yeah, meetup is a great one too. All the different meetup groups. Yes, and guys, we'll keep answering questions. I know we're well over. Feel free to leave if you want, but I'll stay until they figure it out. Hey guys, thank you for everyone's time. We really appreciate it.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
What about sales?
Great.
Your voice are rotating.
Oh yeah, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
All right, so where are you guys? You want to go do that?
I feel like we have some for, yeah.